The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the sensors of the Galactic Empire's command station, where officers manned their posts with a practiced calm that masked the tension growing beneath the surface. The Galactic Empire, a powerful and ruthless force that had controlled countless star systems for centuries, suddenly found itself shaken to its core by an unexpected blip on their long-range scanners. A human warship, sleek and unfamiliar, was moving steadily into a sector that was strictly off-limits to outsiders. This sector was a heavily fortified region of space, close to the Empire's central territories, guarded not just by fleets, but by strict laws that forbade any unauthorized entry. Humans, the Empire believed, were a backwater species confined to the distant outer rim, barely worth their notice. Yet here was a human warship crossing the threshold without permission, sending waves of alarm throughout the Imperial command. Officers scrambled to confirm the ship's identity, their disbelief growing as the readings confirmed the unexpected fact. This was not a mere scout or transport vessel, but a fully armed warship, moving with confidence and purpose. The room buzzed with whispers and speculation. Was this a mistake, or was it a deliberate provocation? Had humanity grown bolder, or even dangerous? The Imperial commanders exchanged anxious glances, unsure of what this sudden intrusion meant, but certain it could not be ignored. Orders were swiftly given for the Imperial fleet in the area to prepare for interception. Meanwhile, far from the Empire's walls, aboard the human warship Resolute, Captain Alina Reyes stood calmly on the bridge, her eyes steady as they scanned the starfield ahead. Her crew worked with quiet efficiency, their loyalty to her unwavering, even as tension filled the air. The mission they were on was unlike anything the Empire expected from humans, a mission that carried secrets and hope in equal measure. Captain Reyes knew the risks entering this sector could be seen as an act of defiance or even war. But the information they carried, the discoveries they hoped to make, were vital not just for humanity, but potentially for the entire galaxy. She kept her expression composed, but inside, a steady flame of determination burned brightly.
Oh.
The Resolute was not merely a warship, it was a symbol of humanity's growing reach and spirit, a challenge to the established order. As the ship continued its silent course, Imperial ships moved to intercept their massive weapon systems locked and ready. Communications channels were opened, but the humans did not respond immediately. This silence only fueled the Empire's suspicion, and tension grew thicker with every passing moment. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Reyes finally spoke. Into the open channel, her voice clear and calm but filled with quiet authority, she identified the ship, announced their peaceful intentions, and asked for parley. The response from the Empire was cold and wary, warnings that any further intrusion would be met with force. Yet, even as threats filled the transmission, the humans held their ground, refusing to back down or retreat. In the shadows of the command center, high-ranking Imperial officials debated fiercely. Some argued for immediate attack, seeing humanity's presence as a direct challenge to the Empire's dominance. Others urged caution, sensing that this encounter could be more than just a simple trespass. What if the humans brought news of something greater, something that even the mighty Empire could not handle alone? The officers' uncertainty revealed cracks in the Empire's otherwise iron control, a glimpse of fear at what humanity's arrival might mean. As the Resolute slipped deeper into the forbidden zone, the crew faced their own mix of emotions: pride, anxiety, hope, and the weight of responsibility. Every system on the ship hummed with purpose, from the navigation controls to the quiet murmur of the engineers below decks. Captain Reyes looked out from the bridge viewport at the stars streaking past, knowing that this mission could change everything. The Empire's panic was only the beginning, a sign that humanity's time to rise had come. Behind the scenes, secret files on board the Resolute hinted at discoveries that could alter the balance of power in the galaxy. Secrets hidden in the unexplored reaches of space beyond the Empire's maps. These secrets drove Captain Reyes and her crew forward even as Imperial warships closed in around them. The human warship was more than a threat to the Empire's control. It was a spark of change, a message that humanity was ready to claim its place among the stars. The silent void of space suddenly felt electric with possibility and danger as two great forces faced each other, the ancient galactic empire and the bold new human presence, daring to push boundaries long thought unbreakable. The moment had arrived for the first move in a game that could reshape the future of the galaxy itself. The vast Imperial fleet moved like a dark shadow across the starfield, cutting off any chance for the human warship Resolute to slip through, unnoticed. The commanders aboard the flagship issued orders with a mixture of urgency and caution, knowing the gravity of this moment. Humanity had crossed into their space without permission, a move that many in the Empire saw as a direct challenge to their authority and power. The warships formed a tight blockade, weapons systems locked and ready to fire at the slightest provocation. As the Resolute came to a halt, surrounded by towering Imperial battleships, Captain Alina Reyes activated the communications channel, her voice steady and calm despite the heavy pressure bearing down on her. She requested a parley, a chance to speak face-to-face with the Imperial commanders without weapons drawn. The request shocked the Imperial officers. Rarely had they seen humans show such boldness, not with bluster or threats, but with a calm confidence that suggested they had something important to say. After tense deliberation, the Empire agreed, sending a delegation aboard the Resolute to meet Captain Reyes and her senior officers. The mood on both sides was thick with suspicion and unease, the air crackling with the potential for violence at any misstep. The meeting took place in the Resolute's conference room, a stark metal chamber where two very different worlds came face to face. Captain Reyes stood at the center, her posture confident, her gaze unwavering. Across from her, the Imperial Admiral spoke with cold formality, demanding to know why humans had dared to enter forbidden space and what their intentions were. Captain Reyes answered with measured words, explaining that their mission was one of peaceful exploration, driven by a desire to learn and protect, not conquer. She spoke of humanity's hope to find allies and information in the uncharted territories beyond the Empire's borders. But then, she dropped a warning that caught everyone's attention, a warning about unknown threats lurking in the dark edges of space, dangers that could destroy even the Empire's mighty fleet. The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling over the Imperial officers like a shadow. Skepticism flickered in the Admiral's eyes, but so did curiosity. Could this be true? Had the Empire been blind to dangers so close to its own heart? The conversation shifted as Captain Reyes detailed intelligence collected by human scouts, data that suggested a hostile alien force gathering strength beyond the maps the Empire trusted so deeply. The humans offered their cooperation, proposing a fragile alliance to face the common threat. This offer was both surprising and unsettling for the Imperial commanders, who had long viewed humans as unpredictable and somewhat reckless. Now, faced with a threat that challenged their very survival, the rigid hierarchy of the Empire began to show cracks. Debates raged behind closed doors as the Imperial Council weighed the risks of trusting humans against the consequences of facing the unknown alone. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, the crew prepared for whatever might come next, aware that their fate hung in the balance. The alliance was not certain. Every moment was fraught with tension, every gesture watched carefully. For all the doubts and fears, there was a glimmer of hope that this meeting could be the start of something new, a partnership born not from conquest or fear, but from necessity and mutual respect. As communications channels opened wider, allowing for more exchange of information, both sides discovered surprising common ground. The humans' tales of resilience and innovation resonated with some of the Imperial officers, while the vast resources and experience of the Empire offered humanity support they had never before imagined. Despite the fragile truce, neither side lowered their defenses entirely. Trust would take time to build, and the specter of past conflicts lingered like a shadow over every decision. Yet, as the days passed, the initial panic and hostility began to give way to a cautious cooperation. Patrols were coordinated, shared reconnaissance missions planned, and emergency protocols established. Captain Reyes and the Imperial Admiral, once adversaries, found themselves working side by side. navigating the complexities of this new alliance with a blend of diplomacy, strategy, and sometimes begrudging respect. The galactic stage was set for a new chapter, one where humans would no longer be mere outsiders, but active participants in the Empire's affairs. The tension did not disappear. It sharpened like a blade ready to strike if betrayal was suspected. But for now, both sides held on to the fragile hope that together they could face the darkness ahead. The story of this uneasy meeting spread quickly throughout the sector, stirring whispers among fleets and stations, fueling speculation and hope in equal measure. What had started as a moment of potential war had transformed into the first step toward unity against enemies neither side fully understood. In the silence between stars, the future hung uncertain, waiting to be shaped by the choices of those willing to bridge the divide. Captain Reyes stood firm, knowing that the true test had only just begun, but confident that humanity's time had come to change the fate of the galaxy forever. The calm that had settled between the human warship Resolute and the galactic Empire was shattered without warning by a wave of destruction unlike anything the sector had ever seen. The ancient menace known as the Xyler Collective, forgotten force lurking beyond the mapped edges of the galaxy, struck suddenly and with brutal precision. Their ships, dark and twisted in design, appeared out of nowhere, emerging from hidden wormholes and deep space shadows to attack both Imperial and human outposts. The surprise was total, and the Empire's military, vast and powerful, but unprepared for this enemy, was thrown into chaos. Imperial warships were torn apart in seconds, their defenses overwhelmed by the relentless assault. Space stations that had stood for centuries were shattered, stars flickering out behind the explosions. The Xyler Collective showed no mercy, targeting communications, supply lines, and fleet command centers with cold efficiency. The entire sector plunged into panic as alarms blared across fleets and planets alike. The Empire's leaders realized quickly that this was no ordinary raid. The Xyler Collective was a threat that could unravel everything the Empire had built. In the midst of this chaos, the Resolute and its crew sprang into action. Captain Elena Reyes knew that this moment was the true test of humanity's place in the galaxy. With quick thinking and unshakable resolve, she ordered her crew to deploy unconventional tactics, relying not just on firepower, but on speed, surprise, and the unique adaptability that defined humans. The Resolute weaved through enemy fire with daring maneuvers that caught the Xyler forces off guard. Using hit-and-run attacks, the crew managed to disrupt key enemy supply lines, buying precious time for the battered Imperial fleets to regroup. Human engineers worked feverishly to patch damages and modify weapons, finding creative solutions where the Empire's large, rigid fleet often failed to adapt. The human soldiers fought with a grit and determination that inspired even the hardened Imperial veterans, refusing to give ground even when outnumbered. Each encounter pushed the crew to their limits, but their resilience kept the enemy at bay. Imperial commanders, watching from their flagships, began to take note of the human warships' daring strategies and relentless spirit. For centuries, they had relied on brute strength and overwhelming numbers to maintain control, but the Xyler threat exposed the weaknesses in this approach. The humans' ability to think quickly, improvise, and take calculated risks showed a new kind of strength, one that the Empire desperately needed but had long underestimated. As the battles raged, secret intelligence intercepted by human scouts revealed the Xyler Collective's ultimate goal: to seize control of the sector's ancient technology hubs. Powerful relics from civilizations long gone. If the Xyler succeeded, they would gain weapons capable of destroying entire fleets and shifting the balance of power irreversibly. Captain Reyes shared this crucial information with the Imperial High Command, convincing reluctant leaders that cooperation was not just wise, but essential. Together, human and Imperial forces coordinated strikes to defend these key locations. The combined fleets pushed back against the Xyler onslaught. But it was the human ingenuity, adaptive tactics, quick repairs, and unexpected maneuvers that turned the tide in several key battles. The crew of the Resolute earned respect and trust through their actions, forging bonds with Imperial soldiers who began to see humans in a new light. This was more than a fight for survival, it was a proving ground for humanity's potential. Yet, even as victories were won, the threat loomed larger than ever. The Xylar Collective's power and determination suggested that this war would be long and brutal. Captain Reyes understood that the real challenge was not just holding the line, but inspiring unity across diverse forces that had once been enemies. As the sector braced for the next wave of attacks, a slow but steady change took hold among the Imperial ranks. The rigid doctrines that had ruled for centuries gave way to cautious openness, and the seeds of a new alliance took root, fragile but promising. Humanity's fierce independence, once seen as reckless defiance, became a beacon of hope, a reminder that survival depended not only on strength, but on the courage to face the unknown with determination and heart. In the darkness of space, amid explosions and blinking warning lights, the Resolute and its crew stood as a symbol of this new era. The battle was far from over, but the humans had shown the galaxy that they were ready to fight, not just for themselves, but for a future where they would no longer be overlooked or underestimated. The hidden threat had revealed the true nature of the challenge ahead, and in that revelation, the spark of something greater, was born a chance for the galaxy to come together against a common enemy and reshape its destiny forever. The desperate situation forced the Galactic Empire to make a decision. It had long avoided forming an alliance with the humans, a species they had once considered insignificant and unpredictable. The threat of the Xylar Collective had grown too great, their power too destructive, to ignore any chance for survival. Captain Elena Reyes found herself at the center of this fragile partnership, leading a joint strike team composed of both human and Imperial soldiers on a dangerous mission into the heart of Xylar space. Their objective was clear, but daunting: to locate and disable the Xylar command network, the source of their coordinated attacks, and deal a decisive blow to the alien collective's ability to wage war. From the moment they crossed into enemy territory, every member of the strike team felt the weight of the mission pressing down on them. The space around them was dark and eerie, filled with shadows of unknown dangers lurking just beyond sensor range. The Xylar defenses were relentless, attacking with waves of ships and automated drones that forced the team to stay constantly on edge. Captain Reyes moved with calm authority, guiding her mixed crew through treacherous space battles and complex maneuvers that tested the limits of their skills and endurance. Despite the danger, a growing sense of camaraderie took root among the humans and Imperials. Soldiers who had once viewed each other with suspicion began to rely on one another's strengths, learning from different tactics and experiences. Human crews' quick thinking and adaptability complemented the Empire's disciplined coordination, creating a synergy that neither side had anticipated. Every skirmish became a lesson in trust and cooperation, every narrow escape a testament to their combined determination. The mission pushed all of them beyond their limits, testing their resolve and willingness to sacrifice for a shared goal. Alongside the brutal combat, moments of quiet humanity emerged. In the cramped corridors of the Resolute, stories were exchanged about lost homes, hopes for the future, and the price of war. These exchanges chipped away at old prejudices, revealing the fears and dreams that bound all soldiers regardless of origin. Captain Reyes, respected by both humans and Imperials, became a symbol of this new alliance, embodying the courage and hope that kept the team moving forward. As they closed in on the Xylar Command Center, defenses intensified, and the cost of every step grew higher. Yet the strike team pressed on, knowing that failure would mean not just their own deaths, but the destruction of entire worlds under their protection. When they finally reached the heart of the Xylar network, a tense battle unfolded, a desperate fight against overwhelming odds to disable the core systems controlling the alien fleet. The crew's ingenuity and determination shone brightest. Here, as human engineers worked alongside Imperial technicians to hack into and shut down the enemy's command protocols, the mission's success was hard-won and came at great cost. But it dealt a crippling blow to the Xylar Collective's operations. As the strike team retreated through hostile space, the bond between humans and Imperials had transformed from wary alliance into genuine respect. the old fears and biases began to fall away, replaced by a shared understanding of what it meant to fight together, to survive together. This unlikely alliance was no longer just a strategy for survival, it was a new way forward, a chance to build something stronger than either side had known before. Captain Reyes looked out at the stars from the bridge of the Resolute, feeling the weight of the mission behind her and the uncertain future ahead. The fight against the Xyler was far from over, but the alliance they had forged offered hope that they could face whatever came next as one. In this moment of unity, the galaxy glimpsed the possibility of peace born not from domination, but from cooperation. And humanity took its first true step toward a place among the stars where they were, no longer outsiders, but partners in shaping the future. The galaxy had endured its darkest hours, the shadow of the Xyler Collective looming large and threatening to consume entire star systems. But with their defeat, a new era began to unfold, one marked by a shift in power, perception, and hope. The Galactic Empire, once proud and unyielding, now faced a reality it could no longer ignore. Humanity was no longer a distant, insignificant species confined to the outer rim, but a formidable force, a vital player in the complex web of galactic politics and defense. Captain Alina Reyes returned from the front lines aboard the Resolute to a hero's welcome, not just from her fellow humans, but from many within the Empire who had come to respect and trust the courage and leadership she embodied. The streets of human colonies and imperial worlds alike filled with celebrations that honored not just a single ship or captain, but the spirit of resilience and unity that had been forged in the crucible of war. The Resolute itself, battered, but unbroken, became a symbol of hope and diplomacy, a reminder of how determination, ingenuity, and cooperation could overcome even the greatest threats. As Captain Reyes stood on the bridge of her ship during the return journey, she reflected on the journey that had brought them here, an odyssey marked by danger, difficult choices, and the breaking down of barriers long held in place by fear and misunderstanding. The alliance with the Galactic Empire, once unthinkable, had become a testament to what could be achieved when old enemies chose to fight side by side rather than against each other. Yet even in this moment of victory and recognition, Reyes knew the galaxy's future would demand vigilance, adaptability, and the strength to face new challenges as they arose. The Empire itself began to change, its leaders slowly acknowledging that the galaxy was no longer theirs alone to command. Human technology, strategies, and values influenced imperial policies, inspiring reforms that aimed to embrace cooperation. Without sacrificing security, many within the Empire's ranks debated these changes, some resisted, clinging to old prejudices and distrust, while others embraced the new reality with open arms. This tension marked the beginning of a more dynamic and uncertain political landscape, one where power was balanced not just by fleets and weapons, but by alliances built on respect and shared interests. Across the stars, whispers of humanity's rise spread to other species and factions, stirring curiosity, caution, and sometimes envy. Captain Reyes became not just a military leader, but a diplomat, a bridge between worlds eager to learn what this new human presence meant for the future of the galaxy. Her voice, once unheard beyond the outer rim, now carried weight in council chambers and starports across the Empire. The Resolute's journey from a lone warship to a beacon of hope inspired countless others to dream of a galaxy where cooperation replaced conquest, and where every species had a chance to contribute to a greater cause. Amid the celebrations and political shifts, Captain Reyes took time to honor her crew, those who had faced impossible odds and stood firm through every trial. Their bravery and loyalty had been the foundation of the success they now celebrated, and she made it clear that their sacrifices would never be forgotten. Yet the captain also understood that their mission was far from over. The universe was vast, filled with mysteries and dangers yet unseen, and humanity's role in shaping its future was just beginning. The story closed on a hopeful note with Captain Reyes gazing out at the stars that had once seemed so distant and unattainable. In those shining points of light, she saw not just the unknown, but the promise of discovery, unity, and peace. The Galactic Empire, once a symbol of rigid control and fear, was now faced with the undeniable truth that the galaxy had changed forever. Humans had stepped out of the shadows to become a force that would never again be underestimated. The New Dawn was not simply a victory over a deadly foe, but a turning point in the history of the stars where courage, resilience, and the willingness to embrace change would define the path forward. This was humanity's time, their moment, to help write the next chapter of the galaxy's story, ensuring that no matter the challenges ahead, they would stand strong, united, and ready to face the future together.